I call the meeting to order of the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust on February 10th, 2025 at 1:01 p.m. May I have a roll call, please?
Beverly Napier, present.
Cindy Boundy, present.
Veronica Kell, present.
Dave Worland, present. We have a quorum. May I have a motion to make Ronnie Kell acting chair for today's meeting?
Yes. I move to make Ronnie Kell acting chair for today's meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust.
So moved. Do we have a second?
I second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Roll call vote,
Aye.
please. All those
Aye.
in roll
go
call vote.
Beverly, aye.
Cindy Boundy, aye.
Dave Worland, aye.
Veronica Kell, aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Madam Chairman.
All right. My role on the reason that I am the acting chair today is because my role has changed from being an at-large member to being the select board representative. So at our next meeting, we will do a reorganization of the board, and hopefully we'll have a new member at that meeting and perhaps also a new housing administrator. So that's the reason that we're doing that. So what I'd like to do, so thank you for voting me as the acting chair for today. I would like to announce that the meeting is being recorded. I would like to know if there's anyone else recording. All right, hearing no one, we'll move on. TCAM will have this up on YouTube, the town YouTube channel, as per usual. All right, 1.4, 1.3. I have no additions or deletions. Does anybody else have anything?
Nope.
No. Okay. So we're going to move on to 1.4, the review of minutes. Is there a motion to review the minutes of the joint meeting with the Townsend Housing Authority on September 12th, 2024?
I make a motion that we review the minutes for that date, 12/24, not 12/24.
Second.
12, okay.
All right, so everybody has the minutes. They were distributed
Yep.
on Friday. Any comments or changes to be made?
No,
Nope.
no, I think they look good.
Okay, then. Roll call vote to accept the minutes, starting with Beverly.
Beverly Napier, you want me to accept? Is that what you want me to do? Accept the
To
meeting?
accept the minutes.
I accept the minutes.
Okay, Cindy Boundy, I accept the minutes as read.
Dave Worland, I accept the minutes.
And Veronica Kell. Aye. All right. Is there a motion to accept the minutes for November 18th, 2024?
Beverly Napier, aye.
I need a motion.
Oh, you need a motion. Okay, I make a motion to accept the minutes of, is it February?
November 18th.
November.
No, November 18, 2024.
Is there a second?
I'll second that. I'm sorry.
All right. So again, everybody's had the minutes to review. Are there any comments or changes?
No.
All right. Hearing none, roll call vote, starting with Beverly.
Beverly Napier, aye.
David?
Dave Worland, aye.
Cindy Boundy, aye.
And Veronica Kell, aye. All right, thank you. The last set of minutes are the minutes from January 17th. Is there a motion to accept the minutes for January 17th?
I make a motion to accept the minutes of January 17, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. Second, David Werland, second.
Mhm.
All right. Are any comments on the minutes? All right, hearing none, roll call vote to accept the minutes from January 17th, 2025, beginning with Beverly.
Beverly Napier, aye.
Dave Worland, aye.
Cindy Boundy, aye.
Veronica Kell, aye. All right. The minutes for those three meetings are accepted. I will draft them. I will take them down. They're already, I'll undraft them and I'll take them down to the town clerk and have them stamped in and put up on the website. I believe that all our minutes are up to date on the website. So I'll just say that.
All right, thank
All
you.
right, we don't have until 1:15. That's when I have the presentation on the agenda for. So I'd like to wait until 1:15 to start that so that everybody that wants to be here to see that is able to be here. So I'm going to skip down to 2.3, the discussion of the inclusionary zoning bylaw draft and a meeting with the planning board. We don't have any updates since the last time we discussed this in a meeting. So, and we are in the process of hopefully hiring a new housing administrator. So what I'd like to do, or what I'm thinking, is to just set this aside until our next meeting and perhaps talk to the planning board and see when we can get on their agenda for a discussion. So what do you guys think on that?
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense to me too. I would do that.
Okay, then I'm just going to let this sit. I don't think it requires a motion or anything. We'll just wait until our next meeting for further discussion, and hopefully that's something that a new admin will pick up and take a look at and go through. 2.4 is a discussion of the filings at the Registry of Deeds. As you guys know, all of our resignations and appointments need to be filed at the registry for the board. And we also have a water easement that has not yet been filed, and I'd like to make sure that there is something that notes the conveyance of the properties to the trust. And Cindy and I did meet with Adam in January during office hours, and this was one of the things we talked about. So Cindy, do you want to say something on this, or,
No, I think it's something we should do. Maybe do it all in one bundle, get everything all done at once instead of it
Right.
going to the registry and drips and drabs,
That's
and
what I was
especially the
thinking.
easement. I think the easement especially has to be recorded.
And Adam indicated to us that he had put a package together a couple months back, and that with our change in administration, it just kind of got set aside. And so with a new administrator, that's another thing that the person could pick up and get that moving forward. So I don't think we need a motion for that, just to know that, that's just a status update on where we are. Same thing pretty much with 2.5. So moving on, unless somebody has anything else to say about those two items.
Just remind me what the date of the expiration of Atwood Acres is. What year?
Okay, this is going to 2.5.
Oh,
Atwood
I'm sorry. I
Acres.
thought you were already there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Atwood Acres expires in 2029. That means it reverts from affordable to market rate.
Yep.
And so I think the town would like it to remain as affordable. Townsend Wood, it's the way the deed was written. Townsend Woods is different. It is affordable in perpetuity. But Atwood Acres is an older complex, and it was during the time when people put 30-year or so riders on the mortgage, that it would hold affordable for 30 years. That is coming up. We don't have a housing authority that's able to meet right now. That's actually one of the things that I wanted to talk about more. The housing authority needs a state housing representative on it, and there are 2 open positions on the housing authority. They are the ones that would work on keeping Atwood Acres affordable, but so would we in conjunction with them. So we should, as a town, we need to be looking at this now, if in fact we want that property to remain affordable.
Mhm.
So our index, we have 4% affordability in town. We are supposed to have 10%.
And, yeah.
And so this is a large portion of our affordability. So it would be good if we could, I support keeping it affordable.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
but that's something that needs to be discussed in a joint meeting with the housing authority when in fact we have someone in place.
Mhm.
So in your packet is the discussion. I had asked Nelson to find out what needs to be done to get a state appointed housing representative. And so there's a process. I've asked that the select board post the position because it's not just us choosing somebody. It's there's a survey process with the state that needs to be completed. So I don't know, Erin, I see that you're on, and I know you're not our housing admin anymore. Welcome as our land use coordinator, but do you have anything more to add to that?
The only thing that I would add is that I don't remember where I saw it at this point because it was probably a couple weeks ago that I saw it, but there is a mechanism for us to basically renegotiate to have those units continue to be affordable. We just have to have those discussions and that negotiation. But it's not necessarily a lost cause. It's just a project that has to be undertaken. So I think that there's, some sort of silver lining there. Just is going to take a little bit of work to see if that is possible to keep those units affordable.
Right, which is why I think it's good to have it on the radar now, because 4 years is about, in 4 years, we should be able to work through the process
I hope so.
positively. So, okay, so the SHI, the State Housing Inventory form came out. Again, that's something that I would typically think the Housing Authority would deal with. So everybody has that in their packet as well as correspondence. That's, I'm speaking about this now because it's something under Housing Authority and Atwood Acres is part of that inventory. So, Erin, just so it's on the radar of someone, and if it's us that needs to deal with it, since we don't have perfect, thank you. All right, so let us know if there's anything we need to do to support that. So thank you. All right, my clock says it's 1:14. So I'd like to open the presentation on the long-term forestry project so that I see that we have a lot more people. Usually we have no one or very few people on our meetings. So I'm assuming that people are all here because they're curious about this. So the way I have a PowerPoint, I'm going to try to screen share. So you're going to have to give me a minute to get that up there. The PowerPoint is, well, let me do that first. Let me bring up my PowerPoint. So, Dave, I don't see screen share down on the bottom. Should I?
It should be there, yeah.
I see host tools. Share screen. Okay, they've changed how they do it. All right, let me bring this up. Can you all see my screen?
No. I see you.
Am I big or am I little?
You're little. It's the same.
Okay, so that didn't work. Let me go back. Host tools. It's different from how it used to be. Share screen. So I'm going to share Zoom docs. Dave, you need to help me out here because usually I have screen sharing down on that bottom panel. I click on it, I click on my thing, and it appears magically. But this is different. So I have share screen clicked. Do I need to do anything else?
It should come up and show you your desktop, and then you pick whatever screen off of your desktop you wish to show.
Okay. All right, I'm picking my screen. Nobody's seeing it though, right?
Correct.
Share. Okay, new thing just came up. All right. How about now?
Oh, there we
Yep.
go.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so let me pull this over and see if I can make it. That shouldn't show. All right, I'm going to play the thing here. So what I would like to do, this is a very brief PowerPoint. It's about 8 slides. The first 4 tell you something about the housing trust and what we've been doing. The last 4 are with regards to our long-term forestry plan and what we're doing there. So what I'd like to do is talk through the first few slides and then take questions that are specific to those 4 slides. And then I'll go through the forestry plan and take questions from those in the audience who have questions on the forestry plan. And Dave, Beverly, and Cindy, anything that you'd like to add during the PowerPoint, please feel free to jump in there. I can't see David. I can't see everybody. Maybe if let me go back. All right, so I'm going to get started. And here we go. The purpose of the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust is to provide for the preservation, so preserving units of affordable housing that already exist in town, and also to create affordable housing for the benefit of those in Townsend, workforce housing, age-restricted housing, that sort of population. So we can go up to 125 of the area medium income AMI. And you can see more about this. The affordable housing bylaw is now available in E-code. So if you go to the website and go to Townsend General Bylaws, we are now Chapter 2, and you can read our mission and what the town voted in January of 2020, I believe, to put in place for an affordable housing trust. Our mission is to accept property for the development of affordable housing, to be guided by the housing production plan, and to facilitate the development and creation of affordable housing in Townsend. So we have a 5-year action plan, also available on the website. And our goal is to have a project started on one of the properties that were targeted by town meeting in May of 2022 for the trust to develop affordable housing on. AMI is the area medium income. We are lumped with all the towns that you see there.
Yeah.
And that is how these numbers are determined. So 100% of income, the numbers across the top, I don't know if you can see my cursor. The numbers across the top are the household size. I went up to 4, it goes beyond that, but I figured that was far enough. 100% income are those incomes that are listed there, and we can go up to 125% of that. So a quarter over everything you see there would be considered affordable housing. This is not Section 8 housing. It is workforce housing for people who live and work in our town, and for those in town who are interested in downsizing. So age restricted. Moving to the next one, we have, maybe I should stop here. This is earlier than I planned. So are there any questions about what the trust is and what our missions and goals are? Okay. Moving on to where our properties are located. These are the 6 properties. The one kind of dead center at the top is the remaining property on Dudley Road that surrounds Atwood Acres and Townsend Woods. That's that property. It does have town water. If you go to the left on that, and I'm looking at my screen and assuming you're seeing the same orientation, these are the West Elm and Blood Road properties. We have 7 acres there. I should say Dudley Road is about 11 acres. Blood Road is 7 acres, and it's right on the corner there. Going down to the bottom, that's South Row Road. That property was actually, the town had a plan done in right around 2007 for affordable housing. There's an existing plan for that property. The town opted in 2007 not to go forward with it. Ross Associates did the plan. They decided not to go forward with it because of the expense of that development. And so that one was put on hold, and we have the plan, but that's all. Okay, and the one to the right is the Wallace Hill property, the larger piece. And then the smaller piece is also along Haynes Road. I should say that all of these are tax title. None of these are Townsend conservation land. None of them were given to the town as conservation land. The only one that is not a tax title property is Dudley Road. And then because this is significant, the ones that have town property are Dudley Road, Blood Road, West Elm, and South Row Road. There is no town water. Did I say property? There is no town water on the Wallace Hill property. And that makes a difference when you're discussing development. So any questions on the properties? Anything that anybody else on the committee wants to add to this? All right, next slide. The trust, when we had a 5-year plan done, we had these 6 properties, but what are we going to do with them? So we worked with MRPC to develop a 5-year plan. That 5-year plan is on the website. You can find it there. And we update the tables in it every year. If you never write something down, nothing ever happens. But it is a moving target as far as timelines go. We've learned a lot. So in the 5-year plan, MRPC took a look at our properties, and they in there, you can see which ones have environmental constraints and which ones don't. So probably it was January of 2024. After April 2023, we got our 5-year plan finalized. We looked through and thought, what are we going to do with these properties? What makes sense? So we did a lot of homework. We met with Rick Medcalf from the Neshoba Board of Health to figure out what we could do. I mean, if you look at it, the two biggest properties, let me back this up, the two largest properties are South Row Road and Wallace Hill. So you would think logically that is where you would start. You have the most land there. But what we learned is without town water, it becomes very expensive. So Wallace Hill is on the back burner for a while. We found Massachusetts Housing Partnership as we educated ourselves on what's needed to do affordable housing in Massachusetts. Mass Housing Partnership is a quasi-governmental organization. You can Google them and find out about them online. They support communities, housing authorities, and nonprofit housing organizations to create affordable housing. And in January 2024, we, the trust, signed a technical assistance grant with them. They looked at the 6 properties and took what we learned in the time from the 5-year plan to then, that was a year ago, and they said, your best bet is to focus on the property that has town water and not a lot of environmental constraints. And that is the Blood Road, West Elm property. And that's where our focus is. So meanwhile, we have these other properties sitting there. But before I go on to our forestry plan, is there anything that anybody from the trust wants to add?
No, I'm good.
Any questions from the community?
No question.
So hopefully that explains where we are and what we're doing. So we had, let me go back to our map. So we're focusing, I don't know that my cursor does anything here. We're focusing on Blood Road and West Elm Street for development. We have 2 really big properties that are forested, and we are responsible for them. So anybody that has a large tract of forest land typically puts a forest management plan on it. So we, starting about 2 years ago now, at least a year and a half, summer will be 2 years ago, we started talking actually the spring, what do we do with those 2 properties? And the responsible thing is to manage the forest for long term. So for the Haynes Road, Wallace Hill property, the object is to produce immediate income to support affordable housing, to enhance the wildlife habitat, to support the long-term health of the forest, and to improve any recreational opportunities. I know that some people hike. Those trails are not going away. Snowshoeing is not going away there. Our focus right now for developing housing is the 7 acres in West Townsend. So this is not going away. Here's the map that's in the forestry plan, which you can find our forestry plans online. We are doing a selective cutting. Backing up, it's a 60% cut. It's mostly pine and white oak. Sorry to be jumping back and forth. We are not harvesting in the wetlands. The wetlands on the property will be protected, though they may cross it, and there are ways to cross streams to reach the other side. We are using foresters who are aware of this. And Stream Crossing 1 is existing. There have been crossings of these, there have been harvests done on this property in the past. So this is the plan. You can see here that Wallace Hill is in the lower left, Haynes on the other side. our property is way down Wallace Hill Road. It's not in the upper part. We do not abut any state conservation land. And you can see stand 1, that's ST1, stand 2, stream crossing 1. The L is where they'll harvest. That's where things will be dragged out to. So, any questions on this for Haynes Road? Okay, I'm going to ask you to turn on your camera, Bob. Are you able to do that?
Yes,
Yes, I got it.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear that clearly.
Do you see me?
My camera's on.
Okay. Go ahead with your question then.
Is it possible to expand this map? It's very hard to see. Just wonder.
Okay.
Let me stop the screen share, if I can, and see if I can bring up the map from the website. That might be easier. I can stop the share. Whoops. Okay, Bob, give me a minute. Let me go through here and just finish this, and then I'll go to the forest plans themselves.
Excuse
And
me,
that might
Veronica.
be-
Veronica, this is Lynn. Each of us individually could, in our own screens. I just managed to increase the size of what I'm seeing by just doing so I don't know, Bob, if your computer allows it, but you can possibly expand it on your own.
Can you do that, Bob?
Can you see me yet?
I may try it.
Okay.
I'm not seeing any way of increasing it, but is this map available online?
Yes, if you go to the Townsend website under, I think it's government or governance, the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust has a webpage, and down at the bottom of the webpage, there are links to both of the forestry plans.
Okay,
And
I
there's
can try
also
that.
a link to the latest update for, well, it's from a year ago, so it's old, for our timeline for the properties.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to that after this meeting then. Thank you.
Okay, and if you have any questions after that, feel free to, email
What is
me.
going
I'm
on here?
vcal@townsendma.gov, or you can, give a call. We don't have an admin. You'd have to call Erin. Sorry, Erin. She's in a new position now, but she can also get you to me if need be. So
What was your email address?
it's vcal@townsendma.gov.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, I thought there was another question somewhere.
Hello?
Hello?
Unmute.
Am I muted?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. Is there
Okay,
another question
can you hear
here?
me now? Can you hear me
Yes.
now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm having trouble with my phone.
It's okay.
Okay, my name is Sandra Lord. Do you have my picture? I tried.
Yes, I
Okay.
do. Thank
okay.
you.
I'm sorry. I've been like trying desperately to be heard. Okay, there are two. This is for the Wallace Hill Haynes Road. There are two streams there. We had a drought. I don't know if the other stream was dried up, but usually there are two streams. And the forestry plan that you're discussing, has there been approval yet from the state?
Not yet. No, we're in process on this. So we do have a signed contract, but things are not. It has been given to the state.
Okay, so it depends upon their approval, correct?
All forestry plans are approved by the state. Yes.
Okay, what happens if it's denied for any reason? I mean, it hasn't been approved yet, right?
If it's denied, then we do whatever they tell us to do.
Oh, okay, I was just curious. Okay, so is there a date for the logging at this point?
I don't believe we have one, but I would expect that they would do it before the spring.
Okay, so there's nothing on the books that say it's going to be February 13th or 20th
No.
or, okay, so you have to get the approval first.
Correct, yes.
Okay, that was my big thing. I was just wondering about that. So you can't go forward until you get an approval in place.
That's correct.
Okay, and the contract, is that with Mr. Anderson or some kind of,
Yes.
okay. All right, I guess I don't have any more questions. Thank you for answering that.
You're welcome. Anything else on Haynes Road, Wallace Hill Road, this property? And if any of you see, you have a better screen than me for seeing people. All right, South Row Road property, same thing. It's a selective harvest. It's a 60% cut. This is not a clear cut. We're trying to keep woods, along the edge. The stream crossing is existing. This property has been cut in the past. And the wetlands that are present on the site are protected, just like they will be on Wallace Hill. So the map is here. You can see that there are two entrances. The entrances, one is off of Hickory Drive, and that is where the loading site will be, the landing site. South Row Road is from the other side. They'll be not cutting off of South Row. You can see the hash marks. That's the part that is not being cut. So there's a perimeter being kept on those two sides of the property. And the 60% cut will be within that section. So any questions on South Row Road?
I'm sorry, could you go back to the Wallace Hill so I can see that map again?
Let me finish with South Row, please.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Are there any questions on South Row Road? Cindy, Beverly, David, do you see any that I can't see?
Nope.
No.
Hi, sorry, this is Lynn who lives on South Row. So
Uh-huh.
the land, the piece that comes off South Row Road there, that is town property, is that correct? That's part of the
Yes, the hash
Okay.
mark, that what you see here
okay.
is all the property for the trust. Yeah.
Right. So it's just there for us to know, as you said right now, Veronica, that right now will not be harvested at this point, correct?
Oh, it will be harvested.
No, not the right off of South Row Road. No.
No,
where it's-
not on South Row Road. No.
Yeah,
any-
yeah, that the
hash
slash
mark,
area
thanks,
that comes
Lynn.
right off. Okay. I was just wondering how much noise we're gonna, no, that's all right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. There will be noise from the cutting, but we've asked them not to do Sundays and holidays and
Well, that's all right. We had the water pipe going up for a year, so we're used to noise. And
okay.
grateful too, because we have fire hydrants now, so it was a good thing. Thank
It
you.
is a good thing. And it means that there is water to this site from both sides, the Hickory Drive side and also the South Row Road side.
South roadside, yep.
Somewhere down the road, when there's a plan for this, that is a good thing.
All right.
But it is nowhere soon. As
Okay.
a board, we're new to this as well, and we're learning as we go. And so the Blood Road property will be our first endeavor, and we'll learn from that. We also don't know timeline, how long it takes for these things to happen. It's been 2 years already, and we don't even have an RFP out yet. So these two properties, it's hard to say when they're going to be developed, but I think it's safe to say it's at least 5 years down the road. So questions on the South Row Road property? I see Cindy, you have your hand up. Do you have a question on the South Row Road property?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was hearing about the Blood Road property. So when housing does get approved, how does the plan, does that go to a town meeting to be approved, or how does the housing actually get approved?
Can we, I want to limit the questions right now to Southwell Road. If you stay on the meeting, you can see where we are with that. But
I'll have to watch it during the, when it's posted on the site. Thank you.
you're welcome. Cindy, I see you have your hand up. Do you have a question on the Southwell Road property?
Oh, you talking to me,
Oh,
Sandra?
I'm sorry. This is Cindy. I was trying to, I'm not tech savvy, so I was trying to figure out how to put my hand down. Sorry. I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, so I take it that there is no question. All right. All right, so this is open for questions on the presentation, whole thing. Any questions? I think someone wanted me to go back to
Oh, yes, please.
to this one. Yep.
Yep. I was I don't have my reading glasses on. I was just trying to take a look if you could make sense of the legend for me because I don't have my reading glasses. So that's, let's see, that's Wallace Hill Road to the far left, and that the lines, what are those? Is that like the constraints right there? Like the weird, the straight up and down lines?
I believe that's trails.
Oh, trails. Okay. And because I see it on the right hand border side also, where Haynes is. Sure.
I'm sorry.
I think she's referring to the buffers.
Oh, they're
Yes.
buffer zones. Oh, okay.
Oh, the hash marks.
Is that what they are? I'm sorry. And then I see ST2 and ST1. What does that mean?
That means stand 1 and stand 2. Foresters use that to define the areas that are going to be cut. So they'll cut in stand 1 and they'll cut in stand 2.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for. Okay, and then they indicate the stream somewhere at the top somewhere.
They show the wetlands. They show the stone walls. They show
Okay.
the wetlands. You can see this more easily if you go to the website and pull up the plan.
Dotted lines.
You can also see the amount of trees, the board feet that are being cut, and the types of trees that are being cut in the forestry plan. That's all of that data is available there.
Oh, that's all on the website, the town website?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, in the forestry plan.
All righty. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Veronica, one more question about Wallace Hill.
Yes.
I believe you said that there's no cutting that's going to happen immediately. I guess this is all pending state approval. Did I get that right? Because the letter
Yeah, we have to hear back when you do a tree cutting and you put a forestry plan in place. And again, this is a long-term forestry plan. Typically, it would be every 10 years that you would do a cut on a property. And so you have to submit it to DCR. If we were going to be developing this sooner, we would have to go through the Conservation Commission and to have it approved.
The reason I ask is I received a letter from Anderson Timber Harvesting saying that they are starting, cutting is scheduled to begin on or about the date of February 12th, 2025, which is in 2 days. So do you know anything about that?
Aaron, could you comment on that? Because I have not received that.
And that was a certified letter that I had to sign for.
So I have not heard that yet, and I'm because we haven't heard back from the state yet. I had a call earlier with someone just asking a question, and I had asked, yeah, that does look like their logo. I had asked
Yes.
Anderson to contact me when they had any idea about when the cutting might be happening. I can give them a call and see.
Yeah, that would be good.
It hasn't been approved yet. The plan hasn't been approved, so there should be no cutting going on until after that has happened.
Okay, pretty much most of the neighbors around here have received the same letter. So It does say in 2 days, so I thought I'd bring that up. So yeah, if you could.
Thank you. Thank
Welcome.
you very much.
News to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you, Bob. Any
Yes,
other
you're welcome. Thank you.
questions?
Sandra Lord.
Gary's iPhone, whoever Gary's iPhone is.
Yeah, this is Gary Blaisdell. How are you?
I'm good.
We own some property that borders the South Row piece, and my neighbors have been saying that they've been receiving, letters and information on this for some time, but we've never received anything.
We have never sent anything out. I don't know do you know where they've been getting their letters of
Well,
information?
Anderson, the trees, and I think there was a piece from the affordable housing that went out to all the abutters.
We sent out about this meeting. We did do that.
Oh, just
yeah.
Okay, but I hadn't
Gary,
received that.
Gary, this is Lynn. I also live on South Row Road. Our neighbor across the way who abuts.
How you doing?
Fine, how are you? Nice to meet you. I believe only abutters. So do you abut any of this property? I think only the abutters.
Yeah, the corner. Now, I don't know exactly but my corner abuts the corner of the South Row piece.
Yeah, because I
You
know,
know what I mean? It's sort of like
neighbor
pointed
across.
together, like.
Yeah, I know the Shonaks down the road and my neighbor who's just up the street. Because they both abut. They're right on the South Row side of all of that. So.
Yeah. So is there any way? So what you're saying is that nothing has gone out to the abutters?
No, we
a lot
did
of times when they're doing building and stuff, they send information out. So I don't know if I could get my name on that information so I could see things while it happens.
Did you recently buy that property?
10 years ago.
Oh, that's not recent. The abutters list is something that's generated through the assessor's office. And that's the list that we used, the one that they gave us for the abutters to the property. So if you didn't, you should have received the information about this meeting.
Right,
and
I did not.
assume that Anderson used the same, if he sent out a letter, which he did, apparently, that he used the same list. So if you're not on that list, you might want to just check in with the assessor's office.
Assessor's office. Okay, Thank you.
Oh, hello.
Hello?
Hi, this is Sandra Lord from Wallace Hill Road again. I have a concern that if the plan has not been approved and the abutter did receive, that's where I got the February 13th date from, and he plans to go ahead. That's not correct that he goes ahead.
Well, Aaron just addressed that.
I heard that, but I just hope that it doesn't proceed without proper authorization.
Well, we would hope the same.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Gary, did you have another question? Your hand is still up on the Gary's iPhone.
Sorry about that. I don't know on the iPhone. We were traveling, so I jumped on this rather than my computer, but I don't see a hand down thing. So I don't have another question. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Well, with that then.
I'm sorry. I have one more question. So with the forestation plans, what's a plan of long-term logging that you're not going to build on Redway as opposed to a piece of land that you would build on? It's like if you're going to focus on the Blood Road and you get the plan in place, and how different is the plan to build as opposed to the long-term building forestation plan? What is the difference? Is there more stuff taken out, less taken?
You can't do forestry on a piece of property that you're planning to develop within, 2 or 3 years. You wouldn't get an approved forestry plan for that. You would have to go through the building permit process.
Okay, so
which
it's a
is
different
why
process.
we do not have a forestry plan on Blood Road and West Elm, because we are not foresting it. We are not managing it for long-term forestry. which is
Okay.
what we are doing on these two properties.
So it sounds like it's a different process entirely for the Blood Road.
We would be building on that, and that
Okay.
is a different thing than,
Okay.
you know, maintaining a piece of forest land.
Okay. Did I just do it
Does
right?
anybody else on the committee want to add to that?
Yeah, I don't know how to do this.
No, I think you're doing a good job. I think too, just as long as everyone knows too that like we're trying to be thoughtful and that we're leaving buffer zones around where we can, around street frontage, around property lines. And this isn't a clear cutting. They're not going in and saying, yeah, let's cut everything down. It's a selective cutting to maintain the forest is what it's there for. So
It's I guess, I mean, Meeting House Park was cut by the town not that long ago. The Rod and Gun Club cuts their property with a forest plan. The Land Trust cuts property with a forest plan. It keeps the forest healthy. It helps to hopefully prevent forest fires from getting out of hand. It's not an unusual thing to do. So
I do have one last question. Sandy Lord from Wallace Hill again. I have a concern because I remember speaking with you after a selectmen's meeting, and I think that was in December maybe, afterwards. And if I remember correctly, I believe you stated something about I'd have to have proof of a certain wildlife, pictures and GPS and so forth, if there's any protected species. So if I had proof, what would you like me to do with it?
you would take it to Fish and Wildlife. They have an office in Air. You can
Okay.
talk to them. If you have a vernal pool should be certified. If you think there's a vernal pool there, you need to get it certified. It is not priority habitat other than the far back corner, a tiny piece might be priority habitat, but that property is not at this time priority habitat. It's not on the maps.
It wasn't a vernal pool I was speaking of. I was speaking with the U.S. Wildlife already. I'm waiting to hear a response. So when I hear a response, I'll get back to you. I guess because I don't have
So
any.
you want to talk to Mass Fish and Wildlife, not U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
No, this has to do with U.S. According to, I spoke with someone and it's U.S.
Well, then you better get to them soon before they are eliminated.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, I know that's why I've been working on it, and I heard a response from one person. I'm waiting to hear a response from a secondary person. So when I have
U.S. Fish and Wildlife does not govern that piece of property. It's Mass Fish and Wildlife.
Well, there's something. Sometimes it supersedes depending on the case. So I guess we'll have to proceed when I hear.
That sounds good. Okay,
thank you so much. Bye now.
Gary, I'm assuming you just haven't been able to figure out how to put your hand down.
Right. But I do have one more question on that South Row piece real quick. I appreciate you guys taking the time. There's some trails through that we use to hike and ride our horses and stuff like that. Did you say those trails would be maintained? So when they do start cutting,
won't be maintained as such, but they won't be eliminated.
Right.
They will
right. That's
be
what I meant.
there.
Yeah.
And of
Okay,
course,
good.
when you do a forest cut, there's always some like slash right after, but it all grows back. It usually looks pretty horrible right after it's,
Right. Well, I've seen them like trash the trail so you can't get through the forest anymore. You know what I mean? Leave a lot of
that is
debris
certainly not
behind.
our intent. No.
Yeah. Okay. Would there be somebody to contact? Is there somebody that's going to manage the cut from the town perspective?
Not really, just us. I mean, we have Don Masuko is our tree warden, and we did consult with him early on when we were doing this. But I don't think there's anybody in town that gets assigned to do that other than us.
Right. So if they just went in and kind of made a mess, nobody would be accountable. You know what I mean? They wouldn't be accountable to anybody in town or,
Just to us. We did
Yeah.
go after these were put out there, and this is probably what got Sandra Lord rolling. We, Dave and I walked because we wanted to make sure that what we saw in the plan was what we saw on the ground. So we were out there walking, doing our due diligence, and we expect that we would do the same going forward. But we are not, officers of the law or anything like that. But I would hope that we have a relationship with our forester that would prevent that.
Right.
That said, there will be stuff left. It won't
right,
look,
right. Yeah.
but it all grows back. Within a year or two, it's all back. So,
Well,
and
again, a lot of the times they leave like a lot of the dead logs and they crush the trails and stuff. Not that it's not our land, it's a town land or whatever, but we certainly like the trees, the trails. And I think a lot of people use the trails over there. So,
one of the things, and it's noted, let me back up here. It's on this one because oh, did I leave that out? No, here it is. This is on both of them. To improve recreational opportunities. I mean, we want people
Right.
to be able to use the property as it's being used now.
Right,
So
and that's what
that's
I
our
think.
intent. What actually happens, hopefully won't be detrimental to doing that in the future.
Yeah. It was certainly not looking to cause anybody trouble, but it would be nice that somebody looked out for the trails being there. You know what I mean? If that was the intent. I certainly don't mind helping out in any way I can. You know what I mean? Not to cause anybody harm or anything, but just to be certain that it gets done and I can take a walk over there, living right there.
What's your address?
182 South Road.
And besides Gary, what's your last name?
Blaisdell.
Blaisdell?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great. We'll let you know if we need you to.
Yeah. Like I say, just help out anyway. I guess what it's all about, right?
Yeah, I mean, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Okay.
All right. Any other questions? All right. I am going to try to switch up the screen sharing here. And we'll move on to 2.2. So this is it for the forestry. I hope we were able to answer all your questions. If you have other questions, feel free to contact one of us. And, I hate to say this for Erin, but check in with Erin, because if you can't find our emails, she knows how to get a hold of us. So, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions. So thank you all very much for attending. We appreciate it. All right, I am going to try to switch up my screen. So just give me a second here to find my cursor. Can we just take a 5-minute break here, you guys, just so I can get my act together? For some reason, my cursor control is an issue. All right, I think I've stopped screen sharing now. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
All right, so let's move on to 2.2, an update on the MHP project. So just at the end of last week, we got a preliminary concept from Mass Housing Partnership. So what I would like to do is to take a look at it. It is extremely preliminary. What I would like from the committee is questions on, we had hoped that Laura was going to be able to meet with us today, but I've learned that she doesn't work on Mondays. So she is part-time now. So she's not working on Mondays. So we may later on in the meeting want to reconsider our Monday meeting day because of that. But I'm going to bring up the concept and we can look at that, come up with the questions that we have to send off to her and hopefully get answers for the next time that we meet. So let me again share. It's going to take me a second. Okay, are you looking at the concept map?
Part of it. Oh, there you go.
Is that better?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. And let me pull this up. And again, I don't know how small it is, you know, on your screens, but if people are watching at home, you can expand. So basically, last time we met, MHP had sent us a PowerPoint that Erin showed us where we could choose what we liked and what we didn't like. So they took that and came up with this. So instead of me talking all the time, anybody want to go forward with it? Talking about what's here?
It looks very interesting. I guess the question is this kind of a template that this company uses? It says for concept purposes only. And the question is, are they trying to maximize the number of units?
Okay,
I'm just not sure, looking at this, if this is realistic. If it is, it's pretty cool. But
Monica, would you like me to speak to that?
Yeah, Erin.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So they took the parcel and basically using, as I understand it, using our zoning, tried to see what this is the maximum capacity. So they said, we understand that this might not be what you all want to see here. It may be that you want to see fewer units, but this is the maximum that could be placed on this property with the zoning that we have in Townsend. So this is when they say for concept purposes only, they mean that this cannot be, we can't take this and say, okay, go build that. This is not a construction drawing. This is not 100% designed and engineered. This is just basically a pretty picture that kind of gives you the idea of what could be going in here. And Veronica, I think at the top, it tells you exactly what it is, but it's something like 22 like townhouse homes and some number of 1 and 2 bed apartments. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to see it.
It has, can you see that?
Yeah,
okay,
so,
I'm trying to make it bigger. I don't know if it gets bigger for you guys.
5 1-bed apartments and 5 2-bed apartments,
Right.
spread amongst 10 buildings. So that's kind of what we said. You all were very interested in having a mixture of different things, and also specifically you liked the townhouse approach, with having some first floor units that would be more inclusive for people who maybe aren't as mobile anymore or trying to downsize and want to be able to age in place. So we wanted to make sure we had a mix of different things in there. So this is sort of their take on that and trying to make sure that we could maximize the space. But like I said, it could be that you say, we don't want to have that many units and you could take some out, or you could say, we love this plan. We want to see it. We want to see, where we could go from here, essentially.
When I looked at this, I thought maybe it's a townhouse, and then an apartment, 1-level apartment in the middle. That's kind of how I was looking at it. But they didn't send any renderings, did they? Like, yeah. Because that was one of the questions I had. Cindy, did you have?
You know what I think too? I think it's really interesting, and I like it. I also, what drives a lot of this construction though is the septic system, and I know they have areas, and I'm not an engineer, but like, are those areas big enough to put in some kind of a septic system for this many units? That was just something that came into my head, and maybe it is. Maybe they'll put in some like some septic treatment thing. I like it. It seems a lot. Just kind of, it seems like kind of a, but then maybe that's what we need, because everyone says nobody will do a project if you don't have like a requisite number, because it doesn't work for anybody. But I like it. My one complaint, and it could be because, as you said, like, this is just a rendering. I really have a problem with the laundry building, and I know it says laundry or community, but I have a problem. But then I thought, you know what? It's probably like, do we envision these as units that we are going to sell individually to people? We're not maintaining apartments. If we were doing apartments, then maybe you want to have a unit, have a laundry thing because you're maintaining that. But if these are units that you're selling to people, I would hope that there was a laundry facility inside their building. Because that's what else I wanted. Are there basements in these? Like, are there basements, or, things like that. I don't know. There's a couple of things, but I also realized too, this is just a rendering. This is like, hey, you're looking at something like this. You're looking at something like this, and you guys can work out the details. So I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting. I don't know if that was helpful to anyone, but.
So they did take into consideration septic here and here.
Yeah.
And stormwater is over here. So they did think about that at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think, and Aaron, you can correct me, but we need to be working with the housing authority on this, on the rental versus ownership piece of this, because isn't it the housing authority that determines that in the end, sort of?
Really?
That determines whether they're sold or whether they're rented?
Or manages that. I mean, I don't see us managing the sale or rental of the units, just getting the development underway. That in my mind, it's a handshake between the housing authority and the housing trust.
So I think that it's a little tricky because it's never been done before here in Townsend.
Right.
So I think that there's sort of a precedent to be set. But my inclination is that the housing authority, if you decide, for instance, to sell all of the units and just have some of them be, sold and kept in perpetuity as affordable, then they may not have any piece of it. However, if the town decides to hold on to some of the units, even if it's just a few of them to rent as through the housing authority, then they would be involved because they would be managing those units. That is my feeling. However, it's never been done here before. So I think that we have a little bit of setting up of how this is going to work. I don't know if it's necessarily spelled out anywhere. That's something we'd have to do a little bit of research on.
Right. Okay.
Because right now, Townsend does not hold or manage any units, right? No. It's a private company that manages Atwood Acres and so forth, right? Because
the housing authority does not have any units itself.
That's a pretty big undertaking to manage properties. You're starting a whole new business. And that's so that's why in my mind I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we can see, but maybe we should just sell affordable units and with deed restrictions and keep them as affordable units forever and ever, you know. I don't know. That's just what came into my mind with this. Because of that laundry building.
My other question is this, are we thinking all affordable, or are we thinking a mix of market rate and affordable?
I think we have to do a mix if we want to try to get a developer interested in doing this. I think that pretty much the direction we've been going in all along. No?
Yeah, I agree.
When I spoke to MHP, they said we could look into doing all affordable, but that it would be very difficult. There's very few nonprofit developers who will do or who can afford to do a fully affordable community development, if you will. And it's much easier to find a developer to work with if you're willing to do a mixture of market rate and affordable.
Okay.
Agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, what's the next step to address this? I guess housing. We've got to talk to housing, right?
I've been taking notes, so I'm going to write them up and I'll send them out to Aaron or whomever, and to get to Laura at MHP. I guess that is what is our next step in the MHP technical assistance process. Because for me, my next step is I'd like to meet with the Council on Aging, maybe with TEO, I don't know, do a community meeting. I would like to get answers to the things we just talked about first, but it would be good to talk to them as well, to people in town, and see, so what would be useful for the people that live here? So what would they like to see? So how would we go about setting up a meeting with Council on Aging? Can I just give them a call? And
Sure.
I might be there. I think I'm their liaison. I could ask to be on their agenda, and we could present. We could come up with a community presentation once we get answers from Laura. We could even use the PowerPoint that Aaron showed us, maybe. Pick the ones from that we liked.
Yeah, I think that's important because it's hard to visualize. Like, you can see this but it's hard to visualize. It's like, what are they going to put up? Are they going to, so those PowerPoints that Aaron had are really good, because you can say, no, these are going to be like, I don't know, colonial style houses. They're going to look like a colonial style house with 2 or 3 units. I think that's good, because you need that visual, because otherwise I think it's hard for people to try and think about what's going to be there on an empty space.
So if you guys are good with it, I will approach the Council on Aging, maybe start there, and put together before we go there, put together a PowerPoint for them, see if they would like to meet with us and look at what we were looking at and what we got from MHP, and maybe we'll have answers to the questions that we have.
I'm willing to help out on that if you want some help, or if you want to go as a twosome or whatever. That
would be great. So, okay. Anything else on this? That's what I'll do then. We'll get together a PowerPoint. I'll talk to the Council on Aging, and maybe too, we can, after that, set up a community meeting. And also get the answers from Laura, from MHP. So, anything else before we move on to the next thing? All right. I'll send out the list to Erin, and she can get them to all of you guys. And if you have more questions, you can send them back to her, or anything that I leave off that you think is important. All right, I'm going to stop the screen share unless one of you have another question. Okay. All right. I think our next thing is the review of our budget and our 5-year plan. So which one do you guys want to start with, the budget or the 5-year?
Budget. Let's do the budget.
Okay.
Right. So I have one comment, which is that it looks like you're optimistically looking at like a 2.5% rate of inflation. Let's hope you're right. Okay, that's my comment.
All right, so this is what
it just seems like it's overly optimistic, but who knows?
Well, for the FY25 budget, this is our 5-year plan that we put together last year.
Yep.
And we had the town put our FY25 budget in the budget book. So FY26, we were hoping to have a housing director, but we aren't going to have that this year. So I'm pushing that out to next year.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue is we're going to expend the ARPA funds at some point, and as you pointed out on this budget, we're going to have to find some other sources. All right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if we get a developer and so forth, I mean, that'll help.
If we get an inclusionary zoning bylaw put in place and there are funds from that could help.
Yep.
The forestry. So I'm gonna sources of income. Pilots, we haven't sold anything to Fish and Game.
Wildlife. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna remove that from 2026. I'm just looking at 2026. So forestry funds. Our admin staff, does that seem right? Or should it be a bigger increase than that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It probably should be a little bit bigger. How are we doing?
I'll take 4% over.
I would do that.
Okay, over 2025. So I'll update that. Office supplies, registry fees, pre-evaluation and development. I'm going to keep that number there. We have 50,000. Training, that's for if we go to, the Mass Housing Partnership Conference or whatever, and any travel. All right. So does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah. I mean, it's placeholders and they're reasonable.
All right. The only one that I'll change is I'll do 4% over the 4,600 that was there for 2025. Okay. So that number will be somewhat different, I think. You want me to calculate it out, or are we good?
No, we're good.
Good.
Okay. All right. And I'll turn that in to the office. All right. How about our timeline? We're looking at FY 2026 here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the plans, let's get that out. The RFP for development, take that out for South Row and Haynes. For both of those. And just move out the forest cut. And then just have them sit for the years after that. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want me to bring this up? I could pull it up.
I printed it out. I don't know if Cindy, do you have it, or Bev? Do you have it?
I don't have it. Wait, were you running that I have the
timeline.
Yeah, that timeline.
I'm
Yeah.
good. I was able to print that off.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're going to take out redo the plan of the land and the RFP on South Row and on Haynes Road, number
Yep.
one. What we're talking
All
about.
of those go.
Okay.
Yeah. Haynes Road 2. I think that's the little piece of property. That's the 2 to 3 acre piece,
Mhm.
right on Haynes Road.
Mhm.
Has wetlands constraints, but it is probably buildable. I was wondering if we should talk to Habitat for Humanity on that one
I know.
and see if there's any interest.
Sure. Nothing to lose.
I know.
Yeah.
Anybody want to reach out to them?
Do you want me to? I'm going to,
Yeah, if you don't mind.
but
Yeah, it can be, we're not looking at I'm just going to put it at FY 2026. Habitat for Humanity exploration. And I'm not going to put anything under FY 27 or FY 28 because we just don't know yet. And I don't want anybody who might look at our timeline to look at this and think, oh. So anyway, Dudley Road. I'm going to leave that exactly as it is, unless you guys think we should bring it back. And so investigate for development at Dudley Road is FY 2028. And then for the 2 Blood Road properties, I'm going to push everything out because the Working with Mass Housing Partnership took the entire year and we're still working with them. So I'm going to put the RFP for development in FY 26 and just push that out for FY 27 and
Really
FY.
think it'll take more than this entire year?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know. I don't know either. I know Carol Bacon from Dunstable. Her project took 10 years and I was like, oh my goodness. And everyone else on that network meeting was like, yeah, it takes a long time. It takes a long. So we've been at it for 2 and maybe it won't take that long because like, I think things are starting to move, but I think it takes a long time. I think it takes a long time.
All right.
Oh, she's working part-time. That's a little, I'm glad for her, but that puts a little thing in it too.
If
Right.
we get an RFP for development out next year, that would be great. Next fiscal year, meaning from July 1st.
Yeah.
The fiscal year starts July 1st.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to be ready for an RFP before July.
Okay.
I'm hoping for the fall.
I was thinking calendar and okay.
Yeah. Don't think calendars.
Much
These
better.
are fiscal years.
Okay.
So that starts in July. And then the fiscal year 27 and 28 would be the development.
Okay.
So I'm just going to push those out. Under other, I'm going to remove, there's nothing, I'm not going to put anything under other. The survey of 182 Warren Road, that didn't happen. And forestry plans we did do. So.
Unless you want to address Atwood Acres as other.
Oh, why don't we put that in? That's a good idea. Atwood Acres. What words should I use? Just Atwood Acres?
Yeah.
Affordability?
You maintain affordability or extend or I don't know.
Okay. And I'm going to put it under all 3. So FY 26, 27, 28.
Because, maybe someone should reach out to whoever's running Atwood Acres right now, and find out if they have a plan. Like maybe they have a plan.
Right.
Bring it up to market and keep renting it out, right?
That's, you know what, Dave, that's what I'm afraid is going to happen. I'm afraid
Yeah.
we can make a lot of money off of this, so maybe we should find out what their plan is, because I don't know that much about it, but isn't it up to them ultimately?
It is up to them. They're the owners. We're not the owners.
They can sell it.
But as long as the state and the town and the HUD and the owner of it are working together, I think it can be worked out, but it depends. We don't know what their plan is for the property, so reaching out seems right.
Seems to me, I wouldn't be surprised if they want to maintain it as senior affordable housing units. I mean, the tenants they're dealing with now are much easier than dealing with families and kids and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's the turnover I imagine is low, et cetera, et cetera. But so I don't know, just from a practical standpoint, it would seem to me they'd want to keep it the way it is.
But Aaron said,
I don't know anything about it, obviously.
Yeah. I just know in Cambridge, there was a building, Huron Towers, Huron Towers where the VFW was, or VFW is now in Cambridge. I don't know if you're familiar on Huron Ave. That was senior housing, and it was done by HUD. And then after they did their 25 years, they tossed everybody out and they rent because the rents were so expensive in Cambridge.
Yeah.
And it became private.
Yeah.
And maybe because we're far enough out, maybe they're like, hey, let's not rock the boat. We're going to keep it the way it is, But then sometimes I think because there are no apartments in this area, but maybe not, because we're on the fringe of like the Boston real estate market. So we're not, so they might be, let's just keep it the way it is. Keep it like this and we'll just keep going. But it might be worth just trying to reach out and talk to someone to find out, what their thing is, if they have a plan. I don't know. That's what I think.
You want me to reach out to someone there? I mean,
well, Aaron, what did Aaron say earlier? That there was a process that we could go through for this? We're back to Atwood. As looking at the property timeline and thinking we should add that to our thing to do.
So I can look and see what I was looking at, or I can try to find it again. What that said, what the process was. It could just be having to renegotiate with them and say, what would it take for us to have these remain as affordable. I don't know what that conversation would look like. But it's something that we can always also talk to some of our affordable housing partners and see if they've been through this and what sort of things we might expect, so that we can go in and not be entirely blindsided, but maybe have some ideas for how to move forward. Because I think that'll make it a much easier conversation than going in and saying, well, what do you guys want to do? Than saying, here are a couple of different options that we've considered. We've talked to other agencies or other affordable housing groups that have provided us with, this is our idea, this is our plan, to sort of see where we can go from there.
Okay. So this could be homework for a new admin to do a little asking around. It's a good way to get into it, maybe. So, all right. Thanks, Aaron. So we'll update. We're going to put Atwood Acres maintaining affordability on our property timeline, even under other, even though it's not our property. It's something that we need to do.
Well, like you said, in order to get up to 10%. We can't afford to lose 4% and start from zero, right?
Or 2% or
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
is. Do you have your hand up, Erin?
I do.
Okay.
So I wasn't butting in. I just heard back from Anderson, and they said that the date of February 12th is auto-generated, and so are those letters that were sent out.
Great.
Oh,
So
that's nuts.
they said the date is meaningless. It's auto-generated 10 days from the plan submission to DCR. So once it was submitted, they generated the letter and sent it.
Did they give you an idea, Aaron, as to how long it will be before they expect to start cutting? Or
So they have to hear back from DCR. I believe notification has to go to the Conservation Commission here,
right?
As well as I think there's another step too. So I don't think that they'll have a date until at least they hear back from DCR, which it could be in a day, it could be in a couple of weeks. I'm really not sure.
So they didn't say they had a sense of it, right? They
No.
didn't have any sense of it. So how do we let the abutters know that that date is meaningless? Or does it matter?
It's, I mean, you could all vote to do another mailing. There is a cost to that, but
So it can't. So it can't auto-generate. Just kidding.
I don't think the auto generated just kidding letter. No.
Well, that's why we need artificial general intelligence, because that would do it. AGI, no problem. Okay, so I guess maybe if we take no action on it and nobody hears anything cutting, everyone is fine. They'll get another letter, I assume, when it's for real.
I assume so. I hope so. I have mentioned to them that I want them to be properly notifying people of the cutting.
Okay.
I assume that this auto-generated letter is not their only notification, because that does not seem to be enough notice for me, at least, for my wherewithal.
It would be good if Anderson added the town to their list of notifications.
Agreed.
So that would be good. The other thing is, I haven't seen the letter, so I don't know how it reads, but it could say, rather than on February 12th, maybe it says after February 12th account for, I don't know how it reads, so I'm not sure what the notification, maybe it says we could start anytime after this date. I don't know, so.
Right.
We lost Bob, who could tell us.
Is Bob still on?
Actually, Lon, I forgot to turn myself off, and I've been listening to see what you guys spend all this time on. But anyway, I do have this. I could take a picture and email it to you if you want, but let me read it to you.
Yeah, does it give a date certain? That's the question.
It says this cutting is scheduled to begin on or about the date of February 12th, 2025. And I've noticed in the area we're talking about off Wallace Hill, there have been people that are marking off trees with blue tape. So it seems like there's some activity being planned soon.
Have they been marking those trees now, Bob, or was that 2 months ago?
Recently, last week.
Okay.
Well, they started a couple months ago, but they were out there
again.
Well, they're just anticipating getting the approvals, but I don't know if you heard this, Bob, but it's not going to happen anywhere near the 12th or the 13th.
Yeah, you're talking years away, and that's just...
no, it's not years away.
No, it's not years.
It's weeks or months, but it's not going to be next week.
But that's just for, maintaining the forest, I take it, right?
Right, yeah.
So that's okay. The only problem with that is sometimes you get tree harvesting companies that just follow the lumber and it's... they leave it there. It makes more of a mess, but whatever. Hopefully, I would imagine Anderson's looking to make some money off of the timber that they're taking. So hopefully they'll take it all. No, is that
Well,
incorrect?
the slash, this slash, the deadfall, the tips of the trees, the junk, they usually just leave, and it takes 2 or 3 years to kind of fold into the. Well, that.
Right.
Right? Yeah, they're not gonna make it all nice and neat, because they wouldn't make any money if we made them do that.
All right. So basically, they're just going to manage the forest, but they could be starting, in a couple of weeks or a few months.
Yeah, they don't have permission from the state, and then the state has to go to conservation here in town. And once all that stuff is done and approved, then they can do it. So this thing you got and all your neighbors got was auto generated, which is kind of ridiculous, but I guess that's how it works.
If you want a copy of this, I'd be happy to take a picture and email it to you, Veronica.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead and do that because we haven't seen it.
So let me make sure I get your email correct because there was a lot going on. Can I get it again?
It's VKELL, VKEL at townsendma.gov.
All right, I'll send it out today.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm jumping off now.
All right.
Yeah.
Aaron, what I'm going to do based on our conversation is update this property timeline, and I'm going to send it to you. If you could attach that to DCR, that might be good, because I don't want them to think that we are developing those properties in the next 3 years. And if they took what was on the website, they could infer that this is being developed, and it's not. So eventually, because that is what it's targeted for by the town, but not now. So,
well, I'm glad you got that email, Erin. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So thank you for that information.
Yeah, and it would be good if they
quickly.
Yeah. It would be good if the property owner was also informed.
It could be that there's something sitting in the mailroom, but I haven't had a chance to go down there today, so I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Okay. All right. So that's that piece. Let me find my agenda here, my pile of papers. Anything else on the budget or the timeline? I'll update them and I'll send them out to all of you, Aaron included.
Great.
So, all right. That's the review of the budget. Everybody got the Unibank statement?
Yes.
All right. Our next meeting, regular meeting quarterly, is scheduled for May 19th at 1 p.m., which is a Monday. If we're going to hear back from Laura and meet again prior to that, start thinking about, we don't have to pick a date right now, but start thinking about what date might work, what day of the week might work.
Okay.
Or should you ask her first what works for her?
Yeah.
And then
yeah, good suggestion.
Maybe she can give us a couple of choices.
Yeah. And because it would be good to meet with her. And I'll talk to Council on Aging and see when they could meet with some subset of us and talk about a community meeting. So that's where we stand. Our quarterlies are May 19th, August 18th, November 17th. And as soon as THA has a board with a quorum that can meet, we'll have a joint meeting. So.
That's good.
All right. I don't have anything else. Does anybody else?
No, I can't make the meeting tomorrow morning at 8:30, that network meeting.
Oh,
No.
yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know what else. No.
All right.
I like that rendering, because I think it's interesting, kind of exciting. It's like, wow, we actually have something. But,
I agree.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we just need to get an RFP and, a shovel in the ground before the wetland delineation runs out. Yes, I think they're good for 3 years. And that was last April. So we're coming up on a year from when the wetlands were delineated out there. So
It just that's one of the things Carol Bacon had said, that MHP is slow, and she said Dunstable did started doing like their own engineering and things. Maybe that's to consider if things, if things start dragging. I don't know.
Right.
You can see.
I think if we can have an RFP by the fall, we're good. By October timeframe. So
yeah, that would be good. That would be good.
All right.
All right.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
At 2:41 p.m. Is there a second?
Second.
Who made the second?
Beverly.
Beverly. Thank you. Roll call vote. Starting with Beverly.
What are we doing? Beverly Napier, goodbye. I don't know.
Aye on the motion to adjourn.
Okay, aye.
Dave Werland on the motion to adjourn, aye.
Cindy Boundy to adjourn, aye.
And Veronica Kell to adjourn, aye. All right. See you guys. Thank you very much.
All right,
Thank you,
thank you,
everybody
Ronnie.
from the community that joined us. Bye-bye.